Okay, thank you for being here. I've got my gavel. I'm going to go ahead and call this session of the City of Ocean Shores Hearing Examiner to order. For the record, today is February 15th at 2 p.m. We have one item on the agenda today, number 22-009, a request for approval of a conditional use permit to allow for the construction of a 4-unit common wall residential structure on an approximately 12,000 square foot lot located at 768 Point Brown Avenue Southeast, which would be subdivided to allow for individual unit ownership. I note that this matter was originally scheduled for January 18th, 2023, but unfortunately, our scheduled hearing examiner had a medical emergency and was unable to appear, so we rescheduled the hearing for today. My name is Peregrine Sorter. I am a hearing examiner with Sound Law Center, whom the city has selected to hold certain land use hearings like this one. And it will be my role today to collect evidence in the form of exhibits and testimony to determine whether the proposal complies with the city comprehensive plan, zoning ordinances, critical areas ordinances, and the specific criteria for approval of a conditional use permit under section 1752.050 of the Ocean Shores Municipal Code. To that end, I received and reviewed several exhibits in advance of the hearing. These include the application and project plans, the staff report prepared by city staff, notice materials, and several provisions of the Ocean Shores Municipal Code. And I will go ahead and admit these exhibits into the record. Should anyone have additional exhibits they would like admitted into the record, please let me know when it is your opportunity to testify, and I will go ahead and address admitting additional exhibits at that time. Speaking of testimony, all testimony today will be under oath or affirmation, because were my decision to be appealed, the recording of today's hearing, along with the admitted exhibits and my written decision, would serve as the foundation for any such appeal. I may ask questions of those who are testifying. I am not trying to trip anyone up. I am just trying to ensure that I have a clear understanding of the proposal so that after the record closes, I am able to produce a decision that is hopefully clear and legally defensible. The order that we typically follow, and I believe we will be following today, is first we'll hear from city staff, who will provide an overview of the proposal along with any recommendations that the city may have. Following that, we will hear from the applicant and see if there is any additional information they feel that myself or members of the public should be aware of in advance of my decision being issued. Finally, following any public testimony, we will turn back to the applicant and the city as necessary for any response. And I think with that, we can get started. Mr. Reed, let's get you sworn in. Can you raise your right hand? Do you swear or affirm to tell the truth in the testimony you give here today?
I do.
And can you go ahead and state and spell your name for the audio recording and explain your role here at the city?
Yeah, my name is Marshall Reed, spelled M-A-R-S-H-A-L-L. Last name is Reed, R-E-A-D, and I serve as the city lead planner for these types of projects.
And did my summary of the exhibits track with what you were hoping I would review in advance of the hearing?
They did.
And I noticed that there was a placeholder for any written public comments. Were there any public comments that were submitted in advance of the hearing?
We're not.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Reed. You may proceed.
Okay, so first of all, I'd like to introduce some of the people that are surrounding me here in the hearing. We've got our City Clerk, Sarah Logan, is presiding over the technology end of this hearing. To my left, I've got Kim Emmons, one of the representatives for the applicant, and the applicant, Tara Tumbler. And with that, I'm going to start into the staff report. As previously stated, this is an application for a conditional use of a multifamily moderate density zone property for the purpose of building a 4-unit common wall residential structure and allowing that to be subdivided for individual ownership. The applicant from the conditional use permit application is Tara Tumbler. residing in Seattle, Washington. The project description, as listed in the staff report, is the Tumber CUP project located at Division 4, Lot 84 in the city of Ocean Shores. The street address of this proposal is 768 Point Brown Avenue Southeast. And there are approximately 6,650 square feet of living space in the proposal. The existing conditions, it's an R5, 5-plex and 6-plex zoning as described in Exhibit 11. The land use from the comprehensive plan is multifamily medium density. The surrounding conditions of the proposal, all surrounding properties are zoned R8, R7, and public recreational 2. To the north of this site is an R5, 5-plex and 6-plex, same to the south. East of this across the canal is zoned R1, single family, and to the west is zoned R3 for triplexes. The land use designation from the comprehensive plan to the north is moderate density, to the south moderate density, and to the west is moderate density, and to the east across the canal again, that's single family. The existing land uses that are currently surrounding this development, to the north, single family residence is developed. To the south is a single family residence developed. To the east is the Grand Canal, and to the west is a single family residence and a vacant undeveloped lot. Background for the project: the property is located in the southeast quadrant of Ocean Shores in a multi-use division surrounded by a mixture of residential single-family occupancy uses, triplexes, and multifamily uses. There are also undeveloped lots. There are several other multifamily structures in the immediate area. In the R5 zone, it's designated a conditional use for the development of a common wall residential structure where the underlying land is then subdivided to allow individual ownership of the subdivided lot. This is pursuant to Ocean Shores Municipal Code Title 17, located in Chapter 17.24.030, paragraph C, which is identified as Exhibit 11. Notices went out to the public indicating a conditional use permit application had been received, number 22-009, scheduled for February 15th, 2023 at 2 o'clock. Those were sent to owners within a 300-foot radius of the subject property on February 2nd, 2023, as required by Ocean Shores Municipal Code 1752-090. The hearing information was also made available at the city website on the city calendar. Attached are copies of the notice of the public hearing, Exhibit 7, the mailing list, Exhibit 6. Notice of the public hearing was provided to the Daily World newspaper for publication on February 7th and again on February 9th, 2023. Those are shown as Exhibit 5. My staff analysis, we've determined that the project is listed as a conditional use for this zoning in Ocean Shores Municipal Code Chapter 1724 under conditional uses, section 24.030C. This is a row house or other common wall residential development that's found in Exhibit 11. The subject property is located in an R5 zone. It's zoned for multifamily dwellings are permitted in this zone with a maximum density of 1 unit for every 2,100 square feet of lot size. From the Ocean Shores Municipal Code, 2-family and multifamily dwellings shall have a minimum lot size of 2,100 square feet per dwelling unit. This property, therefore, before the subdivision is 12,000 square feet. As such, up to 5 dwelling units are allowed as a permitted use. The proposed building can be approved as a permitted use. The subject of this application is whether the land may be subdivided for individual lots and homes to be individually owned, as opposed to being rented as tenants. In 1752-050, the standard of review, the criteria for consideration of a conditional use permit, before any conditional use permit is granted, the hearing examiner must determine the following. Is the land use applied for either listed as conditional use allowed in the district, or is it significantly similar to one of the more, or is it significantly similar to one or more of the listed uses. Approval of the permit will be substantially consistent with the purpose of the district and the applicable provisions of the comprehensive plan, and will not adversely affect other property uses in the immediate vicinity. And also that the granting of the permit does not reduce the dimensional requirements of the district. No nuisance to life, limb, or property will develop as a part of the decision. The analysis, the use applied for is specifically listed as a conditional use allowed in the district. From Title 17.24030 conditional uses. Item number C, which falls into this development, is a row house or other common wall residential development where the underlying land is subdivided to allow ownership of the individual lot and home. Because the proposed 4-unit multifamily building is a permitted use under the zone, it's evident on its face that the building will be substantially consistent with the purpose of the district and applicable provisions of the comprehensive plan, and will not adversely affect other uses of properties in the immediate vicinity. The question then is whether subdividing the land into individual lots would also be substantially consistent with the purpose of the district and the comprehensive plan. This district, as defined in the comprehensive plan, is intended for moderate single-family and multifamily dwellings in order to assure adequate light, air, open space, privacy, and the protection of property values while providing affordable housing in the community. The 2020 comprehensive land use map identifies the district as high density in the following. Description. This designation should include a variety of densities up to a maximum of 62 units per acre. Housing types should include detached single-family dwellings, duplex, townhomes, row houses, and multifamily structures. Where the proposed use would allow for individual units to be sold to home buyers, the application appears to be consistent with the purpose of the district. The current 2020 comprehensive plan lists the city's housing goals and policies, among which are housing policy number 8, encourage and promote a wide range of residential development types and densities in various parts of the city to meet the needs of a diverse population and provide for a variety of housing choices. Again, because the proposed use would allow for units to be sold to individual home buyers, the application appears to be consistent with the purpose of the comprehensive plan. The proposed site plan shall conform to all city standards, and approving the application would not reduce the dimensional requirements of the district. And there's no indication that allowing the units to be individually owned would create any nuisance to life, limb, or property as compared to if they were rented to tenants. The planning department's recommendation, should the hearing examiner approve this conditional use permit, planning department recommends conditions as listed in addition to any conditions imposed by the hearing examiner. First condition recommended from the planning department, construction must meet all current zoning, building, construction, and fire code requirements. Number 2, adequate parking should be provided as per Ocean Shores Municipal Code 1754-060, that's shown as Exhibit 22. An approved storm drain design should be provided prior to any permits being issued. Landscaping as per Ocean Shores Municipal Code 1750-100 and shown on the plan, Exhibit 14. The subject parcel that is subdivided shall be given credit for 1 sewer utility assessment. Each new parcel created pursuant to the approval of this request shall be required to comply with the utility charge in lieu of assessment outlined in Ocean Shores Municipal Code 1328-025, listed as Exhibit 12, as well as all system development charges for each parcel based on the requirements of Ocean Shores Municipal Code 1326-065, listed as Exhibit 13. Similar conditions will apply to water services required to complete the project, storm drain, utility, and also the ambulance utility services. And that concludes my staff report.
Thank you, Mr. Reed. I have a few questions for you. And if you feel that these would be better for the applicant, you can defer to the applicant team. It's ultimately their burden to show that the CUP criteria would be satisfied. But so based on your presentation there, my understanding is that apart from the request to subdivide this property to allow for individual unit ownership, this proposed fourplex structure would be allowed outright on the property under the
That
code?
is correct.
Okay. And then this matter doesn't involve the actual short plat. That's something that's reviewed separately by the city administratively. Is that correct?
That also is correct.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Reed. I noticed that there was no discussion of SEPA in the staff report. Has city staff determined that this proposal is exempt as minor new construction?
Yeah, this has been determined as exempt under minor new construction for single family residential under the Washington State Administrative Code.
Thank you, Mr. Reed. And then, the application indicates that it was received by the city on October 20th, 2022. Is this the same date that the city deemed the application to be complete?
That I would say yes. That would be the date that showed up on the application.
Okay. Thank you. And then do you have the project plans available there? I had a few questions.
I do.
Okay, I'm looking at what I have is the third page of the project plans, which depicts the site and Point Brown Avenue there to the west.
See, what did I do with that? I just had that here. Oh, okay, yeah. What was the page number you were looking at again there, Farragut?
It's the third page of the project plans. It's my PDF. It's page 5 of my PDF packet. It's a site.
Okay, in the bottom right-hand corner of the page, I have a listed A-1.0 and an A1-1 or a 1.1.
I'm looking at 1.0.
Okay, I'm on the same page with you here.
So I see that there is a canal that runs along the eastern portion of the property, and you have these canals throughout ocean shores. I was wondering if you had any background on that at all. I find it kind of interesting if you know about that, and then I have some further questions.
Yeah, so my other role as the city planner is also as the shoreline administrator. So we do look at those in this particular project. We have a 10-foot vegetative buffer that runs along the back of the parcel. And from the edge of that 10-foot vegetative buffer, there's a 25-foot setback. And the combination of those two are to provide for protection of the shoreline of the waterway. Now, as the parcel develops, the applicant will have the opportunity to push a 4-foot wide pathway through that vegetative buffer if they choose to build a dock or need access to the canal for recreational activities.
And is that something that's reviewed during the building permit stage then, Mr. Reed?
Yeah, that is. And again, within the shoreline regulations, single family residential structures are permitted as an exemption.
Okay. Thank you. I'm just reviewing my notes here. Oh, and then on the site plan, this area between Point Brown Avenue and the western edge of the property, is that unimproved right away? What is that area there?
Yeah, it is unimproved right of way that it serves as a utility corridor with water, sewer, and power lines running back and forth in that area. The Point Brown Avenue was designed in the early days to be 2 lanes going north and 2 lanes going south, and it never developed that way. And the 2 lanes that are in front of this parcel were abandoned and turned into a utility corridor. And then we rebuilt the other 2 lanes as a north and south single corridor beyond that.
Thank you. And these, the garages that are depicted on the site plan, are those 2-vehicle garages?
Yes, they're depicted as double car garages.
So that would meet the minimum parking requirements.
You do for each unit, correct?
Great. And then were there any issues with emergency fire access? Looks like there's a shared kind of driveway here.
Yeah, there is part of the subdivision. The subdivision part of this project is going to flesh out that. I did consult with the Ocean Shores Fire Marshal to see if he had any concerns with the level of access that's currently depicted on the plans, and he did not at the time.
So but that is something that you may take a look at in later permitting processes.
Yeah, as the subdivision proceeds, there are some provisions in the code that will require access beyond what we're looking at here. It will require access easements over the parcels that don't own the part that will have to be traveled on. So there will be easements associated with the subdivision.
Okay. And then just because we always ask, has the comprehensive plan or zoning ordinances been amended since the application was deemed complete in a matter that would impact this proposal?
They have not.
Okay. And Mr. Reed, that's all the questions I have for you. Do you have any other members of city staff that would like to testify before I move to the applicant?
I don't believe so.
Okay, then we can go ahead and move to the applicant. I believe that there's a applicant representative. Was it Kim Adams?
Kim Emmons.
Well, let's get you sworn in. Can you raise your right hand? Do you swear or affirm to tell the truth in the testimony that you give here today?
Yes, I do.
And can you go ahead and state and spell your name for the record?
Sure. My name's Kim Emmons, K-I-M, and then E-M-M-O-N-S. And I am Terra Timber's real estate agent, and Terra Timber is our applicant.
And that was Emmons. Am I pronouncing that correctly?
Yeah, E-M-M-O-N-S.
Thank you, Ms. Emmons. And this is your opportunity to present any additional information that you feel that myself or the members of the public attending here would that you'd like them to know before I issue my decision.
Gosh, I feel like Marshall covered it quite well. We just appreciate the opportunity to be able to ask for this variance. You know, it's going to be great to be able to subdivide and have 4 separate parties purchase these units. So, and I'm sure you've got a copy of the architectural design to see what they look like. They're bringing new stuff to our city, which really enhances our area. So, but yeah, other than that, I don't think I have anything. No. Yeah.
Thank you. Would the applicant, you're not required to, but would the applicant like to provide any testimony at today's hearing?
No.
Okay. And so with that, we'll turn to members of the public. Mr. Reed, is there anyone in the room that wishes to testify today?
Nobody in the room.
Okay, and it looks like we have some people on Zoom. Oh, yes. One last question. Ms. Emmons, have you had the chance to review the conditions recommended by city staff?
Yes, yeah, we're up to date on where we're at in the project.
Do you have it? So do you have any concerns about complying with those conditions?
No, yeah, nothing that he shared today was a surprise to us or an issue for us, so.
Okay, thank you. And with that, we'll turn to, looks like we have some people on Zoom. Let's start with, we have someone, Andrew Novion.
Hello.
Hello. Are you wishing to provide testimony today?
No, I work for the architectural firm that's designing this. So I don't know if you guys have any questions for me but I have no comments as of the moment.
Okay, thank you. And then we have Ray W.
Yes, I'm here.
Do you wish to provide testimony at today's hearing?
Yes, I do.
Okay, let's go ahead and get you sworn in. Can you raise your right hand? Do you swear or affirm to tell the truth in the testimony you give here today?
I do.
And can you please state and spell your name for the record?
Raymond Winter, Winter.
And Mr. Winter, just to let you know, this isn't the chance for back and forth questions and answers, but if you have any questions in addition to your comments, you can ask them and I will take notes, and hopefully Mr. Marshall and the applicant representative can take notes, and we'll see if we can get any answers to your questions. So with that, you can go ahead.
Okay, I have two concerns. One of them is actually a question. Community club membership goes with most properties in Ocean Shores. How is this going to be handled with 4 residences on this one property? Will each individual ownership person have a community club membership?
Can I jump in?
We'll circle back. We'll hear from all the members of the public, and then we'll see if we can answer their questions. Okay, Mr. Winter, did you have any other comments or questions on this proposal?
The only other concern I had is I have the adjacent property to the north, lot 1483, and I'm concerned with what kind of buffer is there going to be between my property and this property. Is there a fence going to be installed, or what kind of vegetation or whatever is proposed?
Okay, Mr. Winter, so as I understand your comments and questions, you're looking to get more information on community club membership and the setbacks and potentially fencing that would separate this project from your property, your adjacent properties.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah, that's correct.
Thank you, Mr. Winter. Did you have any other concerns or comments?
No, that's all this time.
Okay, thank you. And we will turn to someone that's labeled Rod.
Oh, yeah, this is Rod Novian. I'm the architect of the project, but yeah, I have no comments. Just here in case you needed some information from me. So
Thank you. Well, I appreciate you being here.
Yeah.
And then we have Bruce Malcolm. You're muted, Mr. Malcolm.
How about that?
I can hear you.
Okay, very
Do
good.
you wish to provide any testimony at today's hearing?
I do.
Okay, let's go ahead and get you sworn in. Can you raise your right hand? Do you swear or affirm to tell the truth in the testimony you give here today?
I do.
Thank you. You may proceed. Can you state and spell your name for the record?
My name is Bruce Malcolm, BruceMalcolm.
Okay, go ahead, Mr. Malcolm, if you have any concerns or questions.
Yes, I don't really have any particular concerns. In general, I'm supportive of the idea. I think it is probably the highest and best use of the property. I've done a few of these types of applications myself in Ocean Shores, and I'm moving toward developing mine. But I have quite a few other similar parcels. And and as I look at this, it makes me think about mine. I'm looking at the map here, the map that you were referring to earlier with the A1.1. And that shows, are we on the same page?
Yes, I see that, Mr. Malcolm.
That shows a 20-foot access corridor, but then there are some buildings, or a portion of the buildings encroaching into that. So it is, I don't know, but I'm thinking maybe 16 feet at the narrow point, and then leading into a kind of a courtyard that is 30 feet wide. And the reason I bring this up is because I'm designing properties on similar parcels. And the short plat ordinance requires a 20-foot clear driveway and a 30-foot radius for a turnaround at the end of a driveway, which would mean a 60-foot diameter turnaround, or double what this is. And if this is permitted, I mean, I would, I'm a little bit concerned about it. If the fire department is okay with it, then maybe that's the end of the discussion. But
And Mr. Malcolm, just so I'm understanding, you're referring to this particular subject property, the
I am.
plans? Okay.
Yes, I am. They've got the 4 garages, the 4 2-car garages, which is plenty of parking. But I mean, I have one concern is, how does anybody turn around if anybody parks in front of their driveway? And the real reason I ask is because as I design similar properties or projects, I'd like to know the rules to follow. The short plat ordinance requires a larger turnaround. And if that can be waived, I just want to know what rules I should follow.
Yeah, and your specific questions about your projects that's beyond the scope here, and something you can address with the city, but we can certainly ask about the driveway design here. See if we can get some answers on that. And your concerns are the width of the driveway and whether access could be impeded by parking vehicles. Am I understanding?
That's exactly right.
Okay, thank you. And do you have any other questions or concerns, Mr. Malcolm?
I think that is all.
Okay, thank you. And then we have Mr. Reeves and Mr. Seidels are both with my office. Mr. Reed, is there anyone that is called in that's wishing to testify today?
No, nobody that I'm aware of.
Okay, then I think we have heard from everyone who wants to testify. Let's turn back to you, Mr. Reed, if you have any response to the concerns that were raised today.
Well, I can do the research on the community club, the question about the community club membership. The community club is a separate entity from the city of Ocean Shores. But they do
Yes.
have
And ultimately, that's kind of beyond the scope of this CUP decision. My role is very limited to the criteria for this conditional use permit. But perhaps that's something that you could follow up with.
Okay. And then I would like to defer to the applicant as far as his, if he has any plans for a buffer or fence between the residential neighbors to the north and the south.
And do you have any response to Mr. Malcolm's concern with the driveway design?
I do, and that's why I consulted with the fire department on this project. If we were not subdividing this parcel, or if it were not before us as a proposed subdivision, then it would be permitted as drawn without the requirement for the larger turn radius as you go in and access. And so in order for it to be permitted as drawn, it's going to require a variance for the parking or for the subdivision code. And so I've had those discussions with the applicant, and we will be prepared to discuss that further in a variance hearing.
Great, thank you, Mr. Reed. And we can turn to Ms. Emmons if you have any response, particularly with in response to that potentially erecting a fence.
Yeah, we appreciate that concern, and yeah, very possible that a fence can be installed. We may want to talk about the cost of it and who's bearing the full cost or maybe Mr. Winter would be willing to participate with us. But definitely, we understand privacy, and we know that for you, Mr. Winter, and certainly for the people living in these homes, it'll be important for them as well. So we're open to that discussion.
Thank you. Do you have any last thoughts on this before I'm going to turn back to Mr. Reed?
I do not think so.
Thank you. And Mr. Reed, for the members of the public interested in this proposal, how can they ultimately obtain my decision when it's issued?
Your decision, once rendered, will be available on the city's website, and we'll publish that information there. And anybody in the hearing that would like that, we will take their contact information and provide the links, or we can email your decision to them as well.
Great, thank you. And Mr. Reed, do you have any last thoughts on behalf of the city before I adjourn the hearing?
No, not at this time.
Okay, well, with that, I am going to go ahead and adjourn this hearing. I want to thank everyone for participating, and I hope you get a chance to enjoy the rest of your afternoon. My intent is to issue a decision on this proposal within 10 working days. And thank you very much. And Mr. Reed, if we can, I'm going to go ahead and adjourn the hearing, but if you can stay on, I have some procedural matters unrelated to this proposal that I'm hoping we can discuss.